Bradley Beach Land Use Board meeting July 17th. Order, Chief. Thanks for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act has been met as notice this meeting was emailed on January 31st, 2025 and published in the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, and the Poster. A copy has been placed on the bulletin board in the Borough office and a copy has been filed with the Borough. Chair Cohen.
Here.
Mr. Mayor.
Here.
Mr. Wishbo.
Here.
Ms. Hernandez is excused this evening. Mayor Gubitosi is excused this evening. Ms. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Maynard.
Here.
Councilman Nowicki.
Here.
Ms. Saracen.
Here.
Mr. Clark is excused this evening. Mr. Warnett.
Here.
Ms. Leahy.
Here.
And Mr. Frederick.
Here.
And also present this evening, Anne Marie Rizzuto, our board attorney, Gerald Frieda, our board engineer, and Christine Bell, our board planner.
Welcome and thank you for attending the July 17th, 2025 Bradley Beach Land Use Board meeting. The board will observe a 10 p.m. time limit. There are no new applications or testimony will be started after 10 p.m. without polling the full board. If an application is not completed during a meeting, a continuation date will be announced by the board attorney. We'd like to maintain a civil environment for this public hearing. Request no calling out from the audience. Everyone will be given a fair opportunity to be heard. After the board and its professional staff have completed asking questions of the witness, the meeting will be open to the public for questions of that witness. There will be a time for questions only and not for comments. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I will acknowledge you and to come up to the podium. Before asking your question, please state your name and address. Also spell your last name and direct your question to the witness. If a person from the public is represented by an attorney, he or she must speak through that attorney. All attorneys should register their representation with the board at the start of this hearing. After the board and its professionals have finished questioning the applicant and before the board takes action on the application, I will open the meeting to the public for comments. This will be a time to speak on the application. The same procedure I previously described for questions is followed, and all members of the public who wish to make a comment will then be sworn under oath by the board attorney. Please be aware that the applicant and attorney have the right to cross-examine any members of the public who may make comments. Written statements or letters from individuals who are not present, petitioners, or speaking on anyone's behalf is not allowable under NJSA 40:55D-10D. Written statements from the public cannot be accepted as they cannot be cross-examined. Public participation in this meeting will assist the board in making their decision. We hope that the public hearing and your attendance will be a rewarding experience for all. And thank you for participating in the process. Mr. Wheaton.
Can you take care of
we have some
the
resolutions.
Yeah, well, first we have two sets of minutes that I had emailed to you. The first set, I did make a change at the request of Mr. Wishbo. For the second application, I had just listed a few of the changes that were agreed to and conditions. It was that the owner and neighbor shall apply for a demo permit for the existing garage. Prior to demolition, the applicant shall submit title reports and deed for review. The height variance was being eliminated. There were no bedrooms permitted in the basement or attic. And the plans were going to be revised to further limit impervious coverage and depict the sump pump and connection to the drainage system, which is to be reviewed by the board engineer. And also additional soil borings may be necessary prior to construction for review and approval of the board engineer. That was the only changes that I made.
If I might, that was the May 15th matter,
That was the May 15th.
and that was Mr. Wishbo's comments on the D'Anello resolution.
No,
What were they?
this is for the minutes. We're on the minutes.
Yes, and I'm asking you what hearing those were for.
Yeah, right. So they were part of the discussion, which was outlined in the paragraphs prior to, but that was the second application, which was the D'Anello.
D'Anello, okay.
D'Anello, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that being said, were there any other changes or that anybody needed made? Or?
Any of the board members have any comments for changes to the resolution or the minutes.
For the minutes? Okay, so could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Mr. Rushbach, you're the second. Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbo?
Yes.
Councilman Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Maynard?
Yes.
Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. The next was from our, this is for approval and adoption of the meeting minutes from our special meeting of May 29th. That was our, two elements of the master plan that we had reviewed. This is just on the minutes.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Councilman Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Maynard?
Yes.
Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
Ms. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
And Chair Fowler?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. And there are 3 resolutions that were emailed to everyone. The first resolution is resolution number 2025-07. It's approval of preliminary and final major site plan with use and bulk variances, VFR Enterprise LLC, Lot 32, lots 4 and 5, 111 and 115 Main Street. This was the car wash, if everybody remembers.
Yes.
So I have those members that are eligible to memorialize listed, so I just need one of those members to make a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve resolution number 2025-7, preliminary and final site plan, major site plan approval with bulk variances, VFR Enterprises LLC.
And use variance.
And use them.
And a use variance, yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Maynard?
Yes.
Mr. Barnett?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
No, Mayor.
Oh, so that's good, yeah.
You already
Yes.
said yes.
He already said yes. Yes. And Chair Cohen. Chair?
Yes.
Yes. The next one is resolution number 2025-08, approval of bulk variances for demolition of existing structures and construction of a new 2-story, single-family dwelling, Michael Laterza and Peter Di Nuovo, Block 10, Lot 16, that's 1103.5 Beach Avenue.
Move it. Second.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbone?
Yes.
Mr. Maynard?
Yes.
Councilman Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Barnett?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Resolution number 2025-09, approval of bulk variances for demolition of existing dwelling and construction of a new 2-story, single-family dwelling, Ben and Gaetana Dianello, Block 14, lots 26 and 27, 106 Park Place Avenue.
And Mr. Chair, if I might be heard on this resolution.
Sure.
So we received an email from the board member Wishbell that he would like some changes to this resolution
Okay.
along the lines of the things that were added into your minutes.
Okay,
So I did not have time to finalize changes within the resolution. But if you could just state in general what you think I need, we can vote on that.
Sure.
We can vote on the written resolution as revised tonight, and then I will prepare it and have the chair and the board secretary look at it, and they can sign it from there.
Right.
So my understanding was that you had 3 areas of concern and that you wanted more detail in the conditions of
Well,
the resolution.
actually what happened is when I read the minutes, I didn't see some things that I thought could use clarifying.
Okay.
I never really looked at the resolution that way, and when I heard you were looking at it,
Yeah,
I was sort of surprised, so.
yeah,
It was, if it's covered by the resolution, I just know down the road when the building's happening, if it's not spelled out clear enough, it's confusion for me.
yes, and many of the, if the board members will remember, we had 2 applications that night with the
Yeah.
same council.
Very similar, yeah.
And the first one went, and there were a number of detailed conditions because that was the first one. The second one, they pretty much said they agreed to certain things without that much detail, but I did put in a condition that everything needs to be reviewed by the board engineer and worked
Sure.
with between the applicant and the engineer.
And it
So-
references the minutes also, so that's enough. I don't
Yeah.
even know if you need to change the
And
resolution.
so I do not think that I need changes, but
Yeah.
I do wanna look at it, so I will ask you to vote on it as it is now, and if there is a little bit more that I need to add, authorize the board attorney to revise if necessary with the approval of the chair. That would be the motion.
Yeah.
Approve the resolution as written unless board attorney and board chair agree to certain revisions.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said,
Someone
reading your
repeat that
resolution, I
motion.
didn't see anything, so.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, and.
If I may be heard.
Yes, and
on your
Mr.
matter,
Beekman
speak on
is
that.
here, go ahead.
Thank you. Obviously, I represent the applicant on that matter. I heard the changes in the minutes. If that's not in the resolution, I think it actually is.
Yeah, yeah,
But if
yeah.
it's not in the resolution, I have no objection with those changes in the minutes and the references to what was there. That was what was agreed to. So,
Yes.
you know, I did review the draft resolution and I had no issues with it.
Right, and he reviewed all the draft resolutions because he was the counsel. So,
That sounds like a great.
but
plan.
I do want to respect your initial comments, so, and anyone, of course, if anytime you have comments, send them up through Christie and hopefully I get them. I was just really very creamed today in the office
Sure.
and it was just too busy to get to. And then I had traffic coming here, so.
Thank you for acknowledging that, Mr. Beekman.
Thank you.
And we do appreciate all the board members' eyes on everything. I think that's the process. So-
Yep.
So thank you so much.
Did we take a motion yet?
I'll move it with your suggestion with
Okay.
the maybe changes.
Will be reviewed, compared, and, okay.
Yeah.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Mr. Rushbo?
Yes.
Councilman Nowicki?
Yes.
Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
Mr. Frederick?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, our first order of business is a consistency determination. We had ordinance number 2025-20 of the Borough of Bradley Beach, amending Article 8 of off-street parking, driveway, and loading requirements, Chapter 40, zoning of the borough's revised general ordinances to allow residential ribbon driveways. It was introduced at the Borough Council meeting on July 1st. So we just,
Sure.
Christine provided us a memo from the planning perspective with regard to its consistency and the master plan.
Right, so this ordinance basically just revised the parking and driveway requirements to permit center ribbon access driveways, a maximum of 3 feet wide and 50 feet long, to a maximum of 150 square feet, comprised of irrigated natural grass only, sorry. That was the only revision to the ordinance section. And in reviewing it, I found it to be consistent with the borough's master plan, in particular, the 2018 reexamination report recommended the borough regularly review the regulations within the land development ordinance against its planning goals and objectives, clarifying, amending, and updating when appropriate. It also recommended the borough review ordinance standards and correct any conflicts and review ordinance definitions. This ordinance, I believe, was introduced based on the number of applications this board has seen requesting variance relief for urban driveways. So it's just to clarify what is permitted in terms of that.
Yeah, that's correct. And also there are a number of houses, some that have been approved by previous boards that do have the ribbon driveways. So it's really not only a master plan consistency, but ordinance consistency for this board and our engineers.
Just one comment.
Yes, sir.
I think we're on the right track with everything here. The only question I have is, you can't park a car over the driveway when the irrigation's on.
Sure, well, they could use drip irrigation.
Well,
It
but
doesn't
that-
necessarily have to be sprinklers.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it is not just a clear cut. Somebody may not know, somebody may not realize, somebody may not turn it on because they don't like it. So just bring that point forward.
Yes, and I mean, the key is for any applicant coming in is the additional cost for the irrigation setting up and balancing that against saving the 150 maximum square footage in their design plan. Also, visually, I think it's very attractive when it's maintained properly.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but my concern is, are they going to use it? Or are they gonna not use it?
Yeah, I understand. Yes, sir.
I don't know how you can be.
Yeah. Do I have a motion from the board, or any other questions, or?
I just have one
Sure.
small detail on the ordinance itself, section 4, on the second page. They say, the borough clerk is hereby directed to submit a copy within the ordinance to the planning board of the borough of Redwood Beach, and continues on the planning board. There's a, we need to change that to the beginning.
The land use board acting in its capacity as a planning board reviews.
But I think when this board was formed, they had to form, because technically a combined board is a planning board with zoning board powers. But I think in the ordinance, when it was created, it said it will be known as, it's a planning board known as a land use board. So that's how we just started being called the land use board, but technically we are a planning
We
board.
are the planning board, okay, then,
Mr. Lou, can we send that to when we return this to the council, can we send that with that note?
Yes, I did do a resolution. Are we talking about my resolution right now?
We're just, she's talking about the ordinance itself.
Oh.
They're referring to us as a planning board,
Oh, okay.
which we are.
Yeah, which you are, I understand. And the statute actually says refer to the planning board. It doesn't
Yes.
say,
Land use.
they didn't have joint boards at that time. But I think in our resolution, and I drafted a resolution that basically says,
The land
you know,
use board.
does all the whereases, and then the conclusion is left open for this vote that we're gonna have. So you're gonna tell me whether or not you do find consistency. So we don't need to change the ordinance, I don't think, for that comment. I'll look at it,
Okay.
and if you prefer that it be referred to as the land use board, because that's how I referred to it in my draft
Yeah,
resolution.
I would prefer that, I don't know, Ms. Horn.
I just think, as a look back, we are the land use board, and
Yeah.
I think it should be.
I mean, even if they list it the way they formed us
Yeah.
and listed it as planning board with,
Yeah.
land use board in
Yeah.
parentheses or something,
Yeah.
so that they know we were a combined board when this was adopted
Yes.
or when this was reviewed.
All right, so we'll make it clear in our resolution if it needs to be see, the thing is, suggesting the change in this ordinance on the second page versus we're only making one sentence in the front means that they have to look at it and make sure that you're correct in making that revision. And the whole other book with section 450 probably doesn't
Right.
have those
I get it.
changes.
I understand.
You know, because unless, when we became a joint board, the township attorney at that time was smart and on top of things and went through the whole ordinance book to change us, there's probably many references to us as
Right.
planning board. And there's probably references to the former zoning board.
Right.
So I like to use land use board acting as planning board when we are, and when we're doing zoning, I like to say land use board acting as a zoning board, especially because that one, the councilman and the mayor have to recuse. So everyone knows they shouldn't be voting on that, and they would be, excused from that hearing.
And with that being said, on this one, should Councilman Nowicki recuse himself from voting on this?
I don't know if he's required, but there's no harm in having you
Well,
recuse.
we voted on it at council.
Right, and you have to approve it on the council, so I would think that you should not vote here for that. Right? All right, so I'm a little rusty. The last time I did a consistency was not a joint
The
land.
easy thing is for me to recuse.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you just list him as excused on that vote there. All right, so we're straight.
Sure.
We're doing there needs to be a motion as
Yeah,
to
go
how
ahead.
we feel
Any-
about this.
Any other questions or comments on this from the board? Seeing none, do we have
So
a motion?
just for my record, we're not making that recommendation, we're leaving it status quo, just the way I have it written for now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So we're making a motion that we are finding it consistent with the
Oh,
master
well, I
plan?
don't know, someone has to
Well,
make
I'm
a
not making a
motion.
motion, so,
Oh, okay.
I'm leaving it up to a board member.
Okay.
If they'd like, I'm requesting a motion from the board. If
Okay.
not, I'll be happy to make one.
Make a motion to approve the consistency that we agree is consistent to the master plan.
Okay,
Second.
Who seconded?
Ms. Mahoney. So I have Mr. Mayor made the motion, Ms. Mahoney second, Ms. Mahoney,
Yes.
Ms. Saracine,
Yes.
Mr. Wishfeld,
Yes.
Mr. Maynard,
Yes.
Mr. Barnett,
Yes.
Ms. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
and Chair Cogan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. All in favor?
So we will then move on to, land use board application 25-4, bulk variances for demolition of an existing two-family dwelling and construction of a new 2.5-story family dwelling. Anthony and Renata DeMarco, lot 25, lot 1, 116 Cave Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Chair,
Thank you, sir.
members of the board, Jeffrey Beekman of the Beekman Law Firm, Ocean Grove, New Jersey. I represent Anthony and Renata DeMarco, and they are the applicants this evening. This evening, I will present testimony from Mr. DeMarco. I will present testimony from Doug Clelland, who is our engineer. I will present testimony from Edward Gillespie, who is our architect, and a final overview planning testimony from Brian Leff.
What's the last name, please? Brian Pope?
Leff, L-E-F-F.
Okay, thank you. So, sir, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Your full name for the record and your address?
I don't live here, so we want the address here or the
I want the address where you reside.
Okay. Anthony Joseph DeMarco, 30 Spruce Hollow Drive, Howland, New Jersey, 07731.
And this is, you'll talk about what the property is, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
A brief summary. So, this property is 116 McCabe Avenue, Bradley Beach, lot 26, lot 1. It is in the RB single family zone. It is at the corner of McCabe and Beach Avenue, and it presently contains a 2-story, 2-unit residential dwelling, a detached 3-car garage, a concrete driveway, and patio space and walkways. The applicant is proposing to remove a number of variance non-conforming conditions on the property. He's proposing to keep a portion of the existing detached garage, but make it smaller, to make it a little bit more conforming to the ordinance by removing some of the existing setback conditions, albeit there will still be setback conditions based on the existing location of the garage. There are nonconformities that the application is addressing by either mitigating or eliminating. There's an existing curb cut of 26 feet wide, which is nonconforming, and the applicant is proposing to reduce that to 18 feet. It doesn't conform with the ordinance, but it is certainly better than 26 feet, while the ordinance is 12 feet. There is an existing driveway width as wide as 26.1 feet at the front yard line, and increases to as much as 29.1 feet within the front yard. And the application is proposing to reduce it to 18 feet at the lot line and 18.7 feet maximum width within the front yard. Again, what's permitted is 12 foot. The existing driveway width is 38.6 feet in the rear yard. The applicant is proposing 19.5 feet. What is allowed is 24 feet, so he's removing that, what's being proposed is removing that variance condition. There's a front yard setback to McCabe Avenue of 12.1 feet existing, where the average setback is 17.1 feet. The applicant is proposing to completely eliminate that variance and have a front yard setback of 17.2 feet. There is a front yard setback at McCabe Avenue to the porch. 7.4 feet exists, 8.8 feet is allowed. The applicant is also proposing to remove that variance with a porch at 9.2 feet. There's a front yard setback to Beach Avenue at 12.4 feet, whereas the applicant is proposing 15 feet, which conforms to the ordinance. And it appears that the average setback at Beach Avenue is 7.2 feet. Side yard setback to a principal dwelling is 5 feet required. The existing is 4.3 feet. With what's proposed, there will be a 5-foot setback, and that variance will be eliminated. Minimum building separation between the principal structure and the garage, 5.7 feet exists. 20.4 feet is proposed, and that conforms to your minimum separation setback of 20 feet. Again, another variance that is proposed to be removed from existing conditions. And then the last variance that is proposed to be completely removed is the existing impervious coverage. It is 71.7%. 60% is permitted, and the applicant is proposing a conforming 59.94%. There are 2 variances that are being proposed with this application, and we think the alternatives of reducing all of these variances is a better zoning alternative, but the applicant is asking for a maximum building coverage of 37.9%. 35% is permitted. That represents a 2.9% increase from what's permitted, or 145 square feet, and we'll provide testimony why we think that variance is justified. I also want to point out that the difference between the existing condition, which is non-conforming, is 105 square feet. The actual, I'll let the testimony provide the reasons for that. And then the last variance we're proposing, which is a new variance, is the applicant is proposing a 4-foot fence in the front yard, which is an open fence, whereas the ordinance does allow it only a 3-foot fence in a front yard. So in all, the current site has 12 nonconformities. What we are proposing is to remove 7 of those. We are proposing to keep 2. We are proposing to significantly mitigate 2 conditions, and we're proposing 2 new conditions with this variance. So we believe it's a significant difference with what's there. We also, again, as I indicated, it's a 2-family home now. They're proposing a single-family home. So, with that overview brought forth to the board, I'm going to ask Mr. DeMarco. So,
Jeff, so the board understands everything presented is correct upon our review. The only difference is we're looking at 4 variances. Because although they're making the width of the driveway and the width of the curb cut less, it still doesn't meet the ordinance. So we believe that they should be getting variances for those 2 things as well. So you're looking at 4 variances, maybe not 2. Okay.
Let me just say what my review, because he talked too fast. I have a height variance for the fence, I have lot coverage variance, and then I have the 2 that you just mentioned, driveway width
Yep.
and driveway curb cut.
Yes,
Those are the 4 variances that are being sought here.
that's right.
Plus, well, what was the separation? That's not a variance, the separation?
it's not. It's an existing non-conformity that's being removed.
Okay,
It's
right.
being removed.
You talked too fast.
I'm sorry.
So-
So the two existing conditions that will remain, one is the rear yard setback to the garage. That's an existing condition. We're not proposing to change the rear yard setback. And we are reducing the size of the garage, so we'll reduce some of the side yard setback where the existing footprint is, but there will still be an existing side yard setback for what's remaining with the garage. So I think those are the 2 variances that Mr. Frieda is indicating those variances are not requested or approvable by the board because they're already existing conditions. The other 2 conditions, I would agree with Mr. Frieda, we are making changes, we're modifying the driveway, and with that modification, we're asking for variances, albeit very mitigated from what the existing conditions are. We could leave the driveway the way it is, but then you're gonna have impervious coverage issues still, and then you're gonna have the existing conditions. So we were asking for permission to reconstruct the driveway with variances, but smaller than what's there.
It's just to keep the record clean.
Yep, absolutely.
And I
Exactly.
think we'll hear more testimony.
So the 4.1 on the side setback is being reduced by the demolition of the garage, the portion of the garage.
Yeah, just from the demolition.
Yeah, and then basically that is gonna remain at 4.1, and I believe it's still 1.2 in the rear. And so we're just gonna acknowledge those pre-existing conditions, we're not gonna grant variances for those?
No.
that the major thing is taking this from a non-conforming two-family to a conforming one-family. The lot is conforming as far as the lot size with our zone, and now the use will be conforming, so I think that's important to notice.
Well, let me
that.
correct that,
Go
because
ahead.
the use is actually permitted. In the RB zone, two units are permitted.
Okay.
But
Okay,
I think we would all agree, one family residence versus a two unit residential dwelling is a better zone.
okay.
And in a way that confirms your testimony or your presentation about, about the driveway, because you would be required to have 4 parking spaces as a two-family, and now you only be required to have 2.
That is correct.
Which they're gonna have 4 parking on the site anyway.
Yes.
2 in the garage, 2 in the driveway.
Correct. So, and,
Okay.
Mr. DeMarco.
Anything
Yeah,
to
just-
say?
Just if you can, just, give an overview of how long you've owned the house and, how you use the house.
Sure. So my wife Renata and I bought the house in January of 2017. At that time, we bought it with the intention of, as a two-family, using it as strictly an investment property with the benefit of, around the edges of summer in June and September, getting some beach time here. And that's how we entered the first few years. During COVID, we spent a little more time here, like I think most people did, with beach houses. And then over the past few summers, we spent more and more time here. We finally decided last summer that we would like to make this our permanent primary home. So, about a year ago, we started, talking to Ed and the others and engaging them on what would that look like, what is it going to take to do that. Because the current house as it exists today does not work. As a two-family, that doesn't work as a layout for a single family to live there. And also, since we have a dog, the yard not having a fence in it, and with the way it's set up, wouldn't really work either. So, went through all this, engaged, Ed and Insight and Ryan, and eventually Jeff to come here today and hopefully be allowed to do the things we want to do.
And as far as I'm going to review the Avaki letter real quick with you,
Yep.
as it pertains to you. So, on page 5, section 6, Mr. Frida and Ms. Bell indicate a number of general comments. Do you have any issues with those general comments?
No,
And specifically when it comes to your taxes, are they current?
they are all current.
And you're going to have to make a payment August 1st, right?
I am current.
Okay, because they have to be current throughout this whole process, understandable. So as the owner, you've only been here for approximately 8 years, what have you noticed as your concerns that you said, hey, for year-round living, this doesn't?
The house, like I said, being a two-family, we would have to go out, go upstairs. It doesn't only work for bedroom space and things like that. It's okay, we can make do during the summers, but in the winter, it's just not functional. The other thing is it's an old house. There's certain things that are continuously issues. We replaced all the plumbing in the house at some point. We replaced a good portion of the wiring. As we go, the wiring is continuing to be an issue. So, I would want to get all that fixed anyway. So even if we were to try to do a construction in place, it would be, as we talked to several builders about it, and it was over 50% of the house would have to be torn down, renovated, gutted, and at that point they all advised at that point just tear it down and start fresh, and you can make a better footprint on the property, and you can get, eliminate a lot of the existing non-conformities.
Compliance with new codes and not have all the electrical issues?
That would be nice.
Now, as far as the layout that's being proposed, you're proposing a fairly large porch, correct?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because, we're here at the beach, we want to swim the porch and enjoy the outside.
Do you have any ocean views from that porch? Will you?
Yes, yeah.
And then you indicated that you have a dog, yard space, and things like that, and you're asking for a variance for a 4-foot fence where the
Yes.
ordinance only allows a 3-foot fence.
Yeah, and
Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, so the breed of dog that we have is a jumper, so the concern is with a 3-foot fence, she would be able to jump over the fence. She probably wouldn't, but it is a concern, and especially if we were to get another dog, it would be the same breed, and they are known specifically for springing their legs.
And if you can just describe the fence location, really the front yard is beach, correct?
Yeah, beach, so we're trying to consider the side yard, not the front yard, but I understand where I'm going.
So, how does the proposed elevation at the house compare to the elevation where you're proposing the 3-foot or the 4-foot fence?
So so the house sits on a mound and drops down, I think it's about a little over 3 feet is the mound. So we're proposing the fence to be towards the bottom of that mound, so if we went higher with it, it would be, you know, more of an obstruction. But where we're proposing it would probably not be much at all. The other thing is, we're not requesting it to be at the edge of the property. We're requesting it further back from the site triangle to allow for not obstructing any views or any traffic.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. DeMarco from the board?
Just one quick one, and maybe you want to pass it to your engineer, I don't know, but where do you propose to put gates in your fence? I assume one would be by the garage.
Correct.
Do you have any other locations? Or is that-
One by the garage, one on the right side of the house, between that house and the neighboring house, and then that,
Two?
yes,
So one would be on the right or the east side of the house,
correct,
and that's that little box setback.
right.
Thank you.
So if the house is reconstructed into a one-family house, going forward, is it now considered a one-family, or like when it's sold, or could it be a two-family, so, this is the one-family?
Okay.
Yeah, zoning will allow it as a one-family, construction will allow it as a one-family. Any future applicant would have to come back to the zoning officer at a minimum to make an application for a change of use.
If it's in the RD, as you stated though, wouldn't it be a permitted use?
It is. It's a permitted, it would be a permitted change of use as long as it meets all of the other standards of any approval plus your zoning ordinance at that time.
Correct. Mr. Wiki?
I'm not sure if this is for this or maybe to the engineer, but I guess, you know, I think that the idea of what you're doing here is great to, you know, give us some home here. I used to live in a home as well for now and rebuilt. But a couple of my questions are, you know, you're still asking for a variance for building coverage, and you're gonna take the roof off the garage, you're gonna replace the roof?
I'm
Because
not,
you're taking
I'd
off
have
the
to ask
wall.
the builder, but I would assume that would have to
Yeah,
happen,
you're
yeah.
taking off the half the wall, so the roof's gonna
Yeah.
be replaced. And so if you're gonna do that, and you're gonna basically rebuild this garage, and you have this variance for building lot coverage of a building, you know, I guess if you were to be conforming of the size of that garage, could you actually alleviate the amount of building coverage by removing the wall in to meet the 5-foot offset?
I'm gonna let the engineer and architect explain on that rather than, I mean,
Yeah.
they're the professionals, you know, my client's hired them, he doesn't always understand the
Understood.
nuances of the professional testimony, so I'd rather defer that to them.
That'd be great,
Thank you. But we expected that question. I do, as a follow-up though, I do have one question for you, if I may. Can you just explain the existing layout of the home on the site and the odd shapes?
Sure, so,
And if we can go to the plot plan, the first page has or the survey line too.
What one do you want?
Yeah, survey line, that works.
I'll zoom in.
yeah, so the house has changed hands many, many, many times over the years and has been added on to at least 2, if not more than I can tell. So it's an odd shape. We've had leaks in the house because of additions where they didn't quite be right, I guess, and we've had to get repaired. So it is an odd shape, and it leaves no chance of creating a real yard space except for the little strip on the west side there. So one of the reasons we want to do this also is, like I talked about the yard space, is to make it more square so that we can get yard space and get rid of a lot of the concrete there and put in grass and just have a more usable yard and a more functional house too.
So you have a more conforming geometry throughout the site.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Marco. I'm gonna ask you instead of your architect, because the architects always say, Oh, it was my client's protocol, so I'm just gonna ask directly to you. Why is there no bathroom on the half story?
Because the half story is not meant to be livable space. It's meant for storage and, you know, hobby maybe, like artist free or whatever, but it's not meant to be livable at all. It's just, I have to pull downstairs now. I hate them. I almost killed myself a couple times coming up and down with large boxes. I would prefer to have a walk upstairs.
And do you anticipate finishing the basement in the future?
No, not at all.
Great. Further questions? I'm gonna turn it over to Paul.
Sure.
Do I have any questions only for this applicant from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion.
I'm gonna bring up Doug Clellan. I believe that Doug may have one additional exhibit, correct?
Yes.
So we're gonna have to mark that. And Doug, if you could just identify the exhibit.
Sure, it is a site layout rendering. It's a colorized version of the plot plan that was submitted to the board. It has a date of 7/11/2025.
That's the revised date, sir?
Yes.
And that is, that's a plan that you already submitted? And
No.
This is totally new? Okay.
Totally new.
Explain what when you said the plot
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, so we basically take the plot plan, colorize it, and overlay it on an aerial image. The board has not seen this, but what is represented on the plan matches what was submitted on the plan. And I have some handouts to pass around as well.
And are they colorized, sir?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so one of those needs to be marked as an exhibit with our board secretary.
Is this gonna be A1?
Yes.
So we're not gonna take the large one, we're gonna take one of the smaller ones.
Thank you
Mark
so
it.
much.
Counting that, hopefully broad enough. That's 15.
Would you mind swearing?
Oh,
Yeah.
go down here. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Your name and your business address, please?
Sure, Doug Clellan, last name is Clellandu. Business address is Insight Engineering, 1955 Route 34, Suite 1A, and that's Walt Township.
Thank you.
Does anybody need one or two more? No?
We're good. Thanks.
And Mr. Plum, can you give your credentials for the board?
Sure, I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I currently work for Insight Engineering as an associate. I've worked there for the last little over 11 years, working on a variety of projects from single-family homes all the way up to larger commercial site plans. I've appeared before this board before, and many other boards in the area, and also had the privilege of serving as the board engineer for the city of Asbury Park Planning Board. So,
Perfect, thank you.
Any licenses are current?
yes, they are.
I'd offer Mr. Clellan as an expert, and I guess he hasn't been accepted as an expert on the improvement that.
Yeah, we would accept.
Thank you.
All right, Doug, so can you just, we're gonna start on McCabe Avenue, if you could just provide an overview of your plot plan, compare existing conditions versus proposed conditions.
Sure, so, looking at, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here to, proposed variances and existing nonconformities. Looking at the McCabe Avenue frontage, that's, south, on the lower end of plan bottom. Both the building and the porch front setbacks are currently non-compliant. 12.1 feet for the building, 7.4 feet for the porch. And we are proposing to eliminate these nonconformities as part of the project. Moving over to the Beach Avenue frontage, which is the western side, plan left. The building front setback is currently non-compliant at 12.4 feet. We are proposing to eliminate that non-conformity as part of this project. Also, on that same frontage are the maximum curb cut and apron width, which is a variance. It's an improved condition. Required is 10 feet. Currently, 26.1 feet exists, and we're proposing 18 feet. Maximum driveway width in a front yard is a variance, an improved condition. 12 feet is required. Existing is 29.1 feet at its widest point, and we are proposing 18.78 feet. Both of these variance requests are improved from the existing condition. Ultimately, with a two-car garage on a corner lot, it's very difficult to make a 10-foot wide driveway or 12-foot wide driveway expand to a 20-foot wide driveway over such a short distance, given the location of the front yard, because we are a corner lot, which complicates turning movements in and out of the garage, and we would not have been able to park two cars next to each other in the front of the garage. But I do understand, while we have a two parking space requirement, and technically that could be met inside the garage, we feel it's much more ideal to be able to provide these parking spaces outside of the garage, not only for visitors to the property, but also in the event, over time, it may be the applicant's intent to park in the garage, but we all know we accumulate things over time, and, if that were to be used for storage, it provides a great value to have those parking spaces outside. Also, the fence, which is along the same frontage, Beach Avenue, maximum height permitted is 3 feet. We are proposing 4 feet. And I just want to bring the board's attention to the unusual topography of the lot. It's very common in Bradley Beach, but it was really a driving force behind the request for the variance, because the rear yard area where the patio is so much higher than street level. We felt a 3-foot fence, would, this is not my engineering opinion, but my personal opinion, would probably look a little strange and feel a little low. So we did go with 4 feet in addition to, obviously providing security and privacy of that rear yard area. Because of the two front yards, we don't have a lot of space to work with in terms of recreation area. So using some of that side yard area, that's our client testified to, they have a dog, to be able to provide a little extra space, and usable yard space. The rear property line would be next, moving to where the existing garage is. The accessory structure, minimum rear yard setback, it's an existing nonconformity. So this is plan north, top of the page. The required setback is 5 feet. It currently exists at 4.1. We aren't proposing to change that particular setback, but we are reducing the overall size of the garage. Also, accessory structure, minimum side yard setback, existing non-conforming at 1.2 feet. This is plan right, eastern property line. Required is 5 feet, existing is 1.2. That technically is not changing. However, as I mentioned, we are reducing the width of the garage. It's being reduced, so in my opinion, would be less impactful. And then along the same lines, that side property line, the existing side yard setback to the dwelling was 4.3 feet. We're proposing to eliminate that non-conformity as part of the project. And then moving on to maximum building coverage. This is a proposed variance. Required is 35%. Currently exists at 35.8%. We are proposing 37.9%. I know our architect and planner will speak more to it, but I just wanted to speak to the overall reduction of impervious surface on the lot, and much improved drainage situation. As the property exists today, there doesn't appear to be drainage infrastructure. The coverage is non-conforming at 71.7%. With our proposed grading design, not only are we directing surface runoff to the right-of-way, protecting neighboring property, but we're also capturing all of the roof runoff from both the garage and the proposed dwelling, and piping that in a roof leader collection system to a nearby inlet. The board engineer had a recommendation to provide a section of perforated pipe and even a stone trench to provide and facilitate some infiltration within the property lines, and we would be more than happy to accommodate that. Overall, I spoke about the non-conforming lot coverage already, but also, as was mentioned earlier, there's 12 existing nonconformities here. 8 of them are being eliminated. 2 are being maintained, related to the existing garage, somewhat improved by the reduction of that garage. 1 is improved related to the driveway, and 1 is a new variance related to building coverage, and also the fence coverage as well. And that pretty much concludes the direct testimony, but I'm happy to take questions or
Just a
from
couple,
you.
yeah,
or
if I
the
could
board.
just follow up with a couple questions.
Absolutely.
So, I'm not sure if you testified to it, but the distance between the existing garage and the existing dwelling, we're mitigating that requirement?
Yes, we are, and it is currently 5.7 feet between that existing 3-car garage and the existing dwelling, and the proposed condition 20.4, which complies with your ordinance requirement of 20 feet.
And so to create that 20.4 feet, you're not only reducing the width of the garage, but isn't there also a change with the rear portion of the house as well?
Yes, there is. The existing dwelling was, stuck out further to the north rather than, in our proposed dwelling positioned on the lot with the average setbacks, in the front, both fronts. We comply with the front setback on Beach and the average front setback on McCabe. And then one other point I just wanted to make regarding those averages, we did take the average along Beach Avenue. My understanding of your ordinance, if please correct me if I'm wrong, but the two dwellings to our north, they actually have a setback existing that is less than 10 feet. So we're not able to use those as part of an average, so we have to comply with 15 foot, which we do. And that, further set the house, towards the east, and, I think that impacts also, where we were able to put the fence, to keep it within the front yard, really cuts down on any usable space in the backyard, given those 2 front yard setbacks that we can comply with.
So with what's proposed, you're creating larger open area spaces than what's existing, right?
That is correct, yes.
And are there any issues with, maybe you talked about the hard pipe and perforated pipe in the trench, but are there any other issues that you would have with Mr. Frieda and Ms. Bell's letter regarding the general conditions?
No issues. We're more than happy to comply with the comments in this first.
And I just wanted to bring to the attention what's being proposed as far as the perforated pipe and piping for the roof is you're proposing to pipe some of that overage into the storm sewer?
That is correct. In my opinion, I feel, given the proximity of that inlet, we felt it best to make that direct connection. But obviously, we'll comply with your board engineer's ultimate recommendation. But this, basically eliminates any need for overland flow for that roof runoff, where, if that inlet wasn't accessible, you may have to go to a pop-up emitter. Then you're talking about, overland flow through the gutter line of the street, ultimately where people are going to be parking their cars. So we're eliminating that water in a rain event and making a direct connection. But obviously, we'll comply with anything that your board engineer recommends.
And in your experience, not only as a general engineer, but also municipal engineer, having the combination of the trenches as well as the overflow into the street sewer. That's also going to avoid some other issues like winter conditions and things.
Correct, yes. It'll eliminate icing concerns during the winter, and then also providing that the perforated pipe in a stone trench will help facilitate infiltration into the groundwater.
Anything else you want to add?
Nope, I think that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Grady.
Yeah, so, again, everything, the testimony was pretty much to the right on point. And probably 99% of the time, I would agree 100% about connecting to the catch basin in the street. However, catch basin there is only about maybe 18 inches deep. We know that there's flooding here during heavy rainstorms in the intersection. I don't think it's good to tie the property system into the basin. I think it'd be much better to run straight out to a pop-up emitter at the curb. And what I would ask if Insight could consider putting in, 20, 30, 40 feet areas of trench so we can get as much of that to dissipate into the ground as possible.
And we're happy to do that. Yes.
Can you repeat that for me?
Yeah, so, we're gonna request that they do not tie into the catch basin or drainage inlet. And that instead they put a pop-up emitter at the curb for overflow. And that on site, they put in perforated, portions of perforated pipe in the stone trench to allow the water to dissipate into the ground. There's certain rainfalls that happen around here, we all know about it, and there's nothing we can do. The rain's gonna come and it's gonna go. And probably 9 times out of 10 rains that come through, it would work as it's designed. But there's those times when we just get inundated, and if it were to back up, it may even back up into the house. And that's how bad and how long it takes for the water to run through. So for those reasons, I'd like to see you guys do that.
If I may ask, Mr. Frida, is there a way to do both the pop-up emitter and tie-in?
I'd rather you just stay out.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you know
fine.
what, if it was a drainage basin like you'd see on Route 33 or a highway, fine. But these are not big inlets, they're small, and they're not deep. So you can imagine water coming down the street, it's gonna fill that inlet up, and the pipe coming out of it is probably very small as well. So it's not gonna have a chance to keep up with all the water coming through. And we know this is an intersection that has problems. Beach Avenue is your lowest point going north-south.
Just one quick clarification, the preference would be to have a pop-up emitter in the grass strip between the curb and sidewalk.
Yes, and on the Beach Ave side.
Yes.
And it'll be hard pipe between the property line and that pop-up emitter.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct, thank you.
I wanted to bring that to your attention, because I wanted to make sure you didn't have an issue with it.
Yep.
So, board members, this would be, assuming approval, this would be a condition of approval, and it would be along the lines of description of what they've just said, and subject to approval of the board engineer at the time of construction plans being revised and reviewed and approved by board engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, Jerry, no
Can I
objection.
ask a question? Just for my own education, we're talking about putting pop-up emitters on both McCabe and Beach. How many would be required? And looking at this piping system, it would obviously have to be redesigned to feed those pop-up emitters.
No, they only need one.
Just one on each side?
So the one that runs in front of the house, parallel to the gate, if they just ran that straight out to Beach Ave,
Okay.
then it could pop up right by the curb, which is right near the inlet, by the way.
Right.
Right, it's upstream from the inlet. Now, there's very little slope on Beach Ave. So it's, we gotta pick our fights here. But I think it's best that we stay out of that catch basin altogether.
So you just have one pop-up emitter total?
One pop-up emitter.
With the perforated pipe that you.
Right, and what that also does is it actually keeps water in the pipe and it keeps it in the trenches so that more of it will seep into the trenches rather than slip out.
Just curious how they're gonna revamp that.
Mr. Frida, you don't think there's any need for a more elaborate underground recharge
I guess you call it sidewalk, that's behind what you call a concrete apron in the driveway, that technically is all concrete apron. So, you can remove that note that says proposed sidewalk and label it as concrete apron.
Okay.
Because that needs to be built to the same thickness and have welded wire fabric and
Sure.
reinforcing it,
Understood.
unlike the sidewalk. And then lastly, the curb is in good enough condition where it's in pretty good shape. Sidewalk, I see that attempts have been made to try to patch up cracking and joints. It's a lot of sidewalk, but it really should all be replaced.
My client doesn't get it.
Thank you. It's a big ask, and I think it would go a long way to help the neighborhood. That's all I have.
Thank you.
So all new sidewalk on both Beach Avenue frontage and McCabe frontage.
Right, if you look at it and you think you can save the handicap ramp on the corner, it's probably the best piece of sidewalk you have.
What's the newest piece of sidewalk we have?
Yeah. So,
Mr. Wiki?
Yeah, back to my original question that I, to the engineer perhaps. The rationale of maintaining the setback, of the existing wall, when you're tearing down a big portion of that garage, is there the opportunity to reduce the variance ask for the building coverage by just, reducing the garage, in one direction or the other, or move it back to at least accommodate the setbacks, and if you want to maintain the same area of garage, provide the setbacks from the property line. And I'm not sure what's adjacent to the garage on either side. Is that other building structures up against that property line as well, or I couldn't tell from the aerial?
So, to our north, there is a dwelling, that's a 4.1 foot setback. And then to our east, it looks like lot 21's rear yard, so there's no adjacent building on lot 21.
If you're taking off the roof, you're taking off the front, you're gonna replace the garage doors.
Right.
You're gonna facade the whole thing, and what's the rationale of keeping it up against the property line?
I'll defer to the architect in terms of the foundation. I'm sure it has to do with the foundation construction, and the lack of practicality and feasibility in terms of moving it. But
If you maintain the slab, from an engineering standpoint, you can move that wall in, so I can still, achieve the 5 foot.
But we also wanted to be able to park two cars in there, to provide ample parking on site.
Right, because then
If we go any less, I
But you're reducing,
struggle to get a car.
you're reducing the garage between the wall to the south, if that's what the east, that's right.
So
North,
the
south, so-
portion we're removing is to the south, correct?
So the foundation that's going all the way out there, it's just a question, is there a way to achieve that building coverage?
if I could comment,
Yeah.
the size of the garage that's gonna remain is really about as small as you can have for a two-car garage.
Right.
So if they were to make it any smaller than what they're proposing, then they're looking at like a one-car garage.
Or 1.5, or
Maybe
maybe 3/4,
Yeah.
a golf cart car.
So that's kind of, I understand why they picked the size that they did.
Now, having just done this, we reduced our garage size in order to meet the zoning requirement of building coverage. So, it's nice to have a two-car garage, but, often you can park 2 cars in there and, it's just a consideration to try to achieve that coverage.
Well, our architect's gonna provide some additional testimony as to why the coverage is and how the layout of the property is as far as those coverages go.
Yeah, I think, obviously we'll let the professionals speak, but if you look at the way the existing garage is constructed, the doors are in the part of the garage that's remaining, and then the part they're removing is just like a addition. Here,
Sort of,
so, yeah, so they're keeping the part that functions
envisioned as a garage and removing the storage area, it looks like.
Yeah, I was just thinking, from my book, if you're removing all the garage and you're just maintaining these two walls, and replacing everything else, then
But do you eliminate the building coverage at the expense of a parking spot?
Right.
if you're gonna provide for, yeah, it's nice to have that. But you also have a wider driveway, which is reducing parking on the street.
That's right.
Well, I would disagree with that, because the existing driveway is even wider. We're actually making more openness on the street.
Yeah, I think
You
that's
are.
what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
But then you would need another variance because the driveway width can't exceed the width of the garage, right? So then you'd have to either have a variance for the driveway being wider there, or you'd have to taper this to.
You'd have to reduce it all, which would then get it to be conforming, potentially, or maybe not.
Well, then you wouldn't have the parking possible.
But to get to the building coverage, I don't know if this calculation is accurate, so you can check this, but it's, you have to go down 145 square feet.
I have 141.
Yeah, so, I don't know, if that's garage is pretty small, if you take 141 square feet off it, it's gonna like completely change.
Turns to be one car
Yeah.
garage, basically.
Maybe even less. 141 square feet is, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Okay. Second, my other question would be, is on the fence, I'm having a hard time telling exactly where is the fence? As we commented about the fence site triangle, somebody commented about making sure that we have good visibility, but it's not clear where exactly the fence.
While he's showing you that, I would just let that site triangle thing go right out of your head.
Because it's far
There's
enough
nowhere
away.
near the intersection.
It is far enough away.
Oh,
And
and
they made the comments on
and
it.
they're not allowed to put it in the right of way, so.
Right.
So, just to start off on the corner, we do show the 25-foot site triangle. That's right here that I'm pointing at. The fence starts at the top of the stairs, where the covered porch transitions to stairs coming down that leads to that walkway. So from there, it goes out to Beach Avenue, follows the front property line, makes a turn, follows the driveway, where there's a gate and a small walkway for access to and from the driveway, connects to that existing garage, and then from the other side of the garage, continues along this side property line and ties back into the house.
And that's where the other gate is, correct? So,
Yes.
So you're not taking the fence across the driveway with the gate, across the driveway?
Nothing across the driveway.
I'm just looking at the plan on my glasses, so.
And, you know, the fences are hard to see, I will
So,
admit.
I'm gonna just jump in on the fence, so you're telling me there's no fence truly on the corner of Beach and Ocean? Or
No,
I should
no.
say,
No fence.
Correct.
okay.
Right, yeah, if this is that site triangle
it's-
area,
so it's an
all of
open
this is
yard.
open space, yep. Yep.
Doug, how far back does the fence start on Beach Ave, if you know?
That's 25 feet, we're at least 30.
That's some wonky wording stuff, all, I mean, the understanding your fence height to what is considered front and side, and it,
But that's every municipality in the state.
Right.
Yeah. We have that everywhere.
And not that it requires a variance on the eastern side, is that gonna be the open fence also along the property line, or is that gonna be a transition to a different type of fence?
I believe it's all one fence.
Is this the fence you're proposing throughout?
It is. I apologize for the funky image, but we had to pull that from, yeah.
So
That is the one that we're proposing, so we wanted to show it.
So it's really not a picket fence though, like that's a pretty intense fence. So the neighbor next door though, do they next door to them, do they have a 4-foot on their front yard as well? Are you
Lot
wanting-
21.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can.
because the ordinance is 3, 4, 6 when it comes to a fence, so I'm just saying for that next door neighbor, are you putting 4 feet on their
So
front
the
yard?
fence along the east side does
no
not need a
variance.
variance.
Okay.
They're allowed to go 4
Yeah,
feet.
we're allowed to go 4 feet along the side from the front of the house,
Mhm.
from the frontage at McCabe. We're allowed 4 feet to the rear of the house. We're allowed 6 feet to the corner.
What I'm
of
saying
the
is like
property.
3 feet to the front of the house, that's what I meant, like porch forward, that's what I was.
You're not
There's no
going
fence.
that way.
Yeah, there's no, the fence stops, as Doug just testified. If you could just point, Doug, it stops pretty much,
Here.
straight across from the other side.
From
And
the
they're-
road starts on
I just
Yeah.
confirmed that they
So-
currently don't have a fence on lot 21.
Yeah, no, I know the area.
So there's no fence going forward from the cave?
But that's,
on
yeah,
side?
that, I was just checking into
Yeah.
that neighbor, so they don't all of a sudden have a 4-foot fence in the front yard, that's why I was asking.
Correct, good question.
So the fence, what did you say, the fence stops like at the plane of the, front
Right
house?
Here,
No, no.
Middle of
In
the
the middle of
house.
the house.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, so, right, you doing it?
yeah, do you wanna use the pointer to show?
You were doing a good job.
You are.
I'll let you do your job.
So here we go, this is where it
That's the
ties
fence
back
line
into the
there.
house, and then this is the other point on Beach Avenue, top of the stairs, where it
Okay.
goes out to, Beach, follows that property line, makes a turn, follows the driveway, there's a small pedestrian gate there, ties into the garage corner, and then off of the other garage corner and down the property line, and back to the house.
So no fence in the
I'll
front.
just be saying, as depicted
I'll
on
make
the
it-
plan.
So, just something about the fence. You're saying this house is up in a berm, so on the Beach Avenue side, the land comes down, so how are you gonna do the transition with the fence? Just curious.
It's level all the way across the sidewalk, the back of the sidewalk's getting level.
Yeah, where that transition will take place is along the driveway, which,
Am I seeing topographical lines?
Yes.
yes,
But I'm saying it's 14 feet, 13 feet,
yeah,
so it's still a foot transition, the fence goes across the transition of land drop.
So the fence in the front, that short section will be on an angle going down.
That's how it's,
Well, that's the way they do it.
usually do it step.
All right.
I'm just curious,
It's only a
You don't want
4-foot
it like
fence,
this.
so it's kind of hard to step close to the fence.
I understand, but it seems kind of weird to have a fence doing this. It would be like you actually want to come down somewhat in a transition piece of
But-
sorts.
But you see what I'm saying?
I
It's
know what you're
only-
saying.
It's only like a 10-foot section. Actually, it is, it's exactly 10
Yeah.
feet.
yep.
Section of
that's
fence is 8 feet, right?
8-foot sections of fence, it's just a little more than one section of fence.
It's gonna be a little tricky.
Jerry, the type of fence that can go in the front yard, what's the description in the ordinance for that?
Yeah, what they're proposing meets our, yeah, it's an open fence, vinyl. Only issue is instead of it being 3 feet high, they're looking for 4 feet.
What kind of dog is a jumping dog?
It's a Wheaton Terrier.
I mean, refer to it as a jumping dog, how's that?
That's a Wheaton jumper.
So if I could, the point that the council was making, would the applicant consider breaking that 10-foot section up into 2 sections, 5 foot apart? And kind of, you see where I'm coming at, and stagger,
Okay.
so that the rail is level as can be,
Okay,
right?
yep.
I think that's where you're going.
Exactly, you can't put a fence on it, you see them over, it looks silly.
Just, you're talking about what's parallel
Just-
to McCabe?
Yeah, just that
The second
second
parallel
from the
to
stair to
yeah,
the
yeah,
beach,
yeah.
there's a transition of artery of land.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the west.
Yeah,
So you gotta deal with that, I'm just curious how you do it.
that makes sense.
If there's something
Yeah, that
we
makes
can
sense.
do.
I was deferring to the professionals on that.
I prefer the fence guy.
Well, there you go, and you know.
I've installed some very small sections of fence at my own house, but I would say that you can, because it is vinyl, you can probably work with it and cut it into 5-foot sections.
And then, yeah, try to make up that difference, so you don't have the slope, maybe it's a little less of a slope, and a little less of a slope.
Yeah, it's, so aesthetically, so it looks proper.
No, I agree.
I'm not, suggesting the fence should go any higher, but I thought in order to contain a dog, 6 feet was usually recommended.
The dog's not that big.
Okay. But you don't think that the 3 feet will do?
I have concerns at 3 feet. At 3 feet, yeah. Oh, sorry.
I don't know, I'm very short, so 3 feet's for me.
Can't jump that high.
That'll stop me.
I
don't
know
have 4
that
legs.
some rescues, for instance, like if they're, if you're trying to adopt a dog, that they're requiring a fenced in yard, they don't allow fences less than 4 feet.
was also the pool code requirement.
Right.
which
It's the what part?
The pool code fence compliance is 4 foot as well.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that something that we should be looking at overall, does it make sense having a 3-foot fence? I mean, every person comes in here who wants to change it to a 4-foot fence, is gonna say, I have a jumping dog.
Yeah.
I mean, that becomes an issue, right? I mean, you let this go, because we have a jumping dog, but all dogs jump. And so, you know, now we're challenging, why do we have a 3-foot ordinance for a fence?
So the 3-foot fence ordinance is in the front yard, and this is a particular instance because it's a corner lot, so there's 2 front yards. Typically, you know, if someone was just in the middle of a block, and they were fencing in their yard for their dog, you would assume it's usually their rear yard.
They could close that off.
Right, and they could close that off, and they're allowed to have a higher fence in the rear yard. It's just in the front yard that it can only be 3 feet high, and, because this is a corner lot, they have those 2 front yards, so it kind of creates that issue for them.
And we allowed 4-foot fences elsewhere with variances along
On
the
corner
on the
lots,
corner lots? We
yes.
have?
We have, it's
Okay.
all site,
So
Yeah.
it's per site, but yes, we have.
That's a key point.
Well, this particularly too, I think, because of the elevation change, right? So you have a 3-foot fence at not quite 2 feet, but way lower than where the house sits, so then it creates an even stranger
Right.
situation.
And then-
Optics wise,
And
I
when,
guess.
and when you start that dog, it's going to come.
That is the concern.
Going out.
Will an invisible fence kind of solve the problem?
No, they're terriers, they don't, invisible fences don't work with them. They run right through them and yell, they keep running.
I believe the ordinance was written for the visual aesthetic of a 3-foot fence. It gives people the option. I think 4 is a little bit high. And if everyone comes in with a dog and says, I need a 4-foot fence. Quite frankly, I prefer no fences in the front yard if I wrote the ordinance, but, you know, we're obligated to follow the ordinance that we give it. And I really don't find groups here so far, unless there's going to be more. I did have a question, Mr. Paul, about the parking. Since we're making the curb cut smaller, have you done any calculations to see if that creates additional parking on Beach Avenue for us?
So we do provide a dimension from, we've approximated the yellow painted curve that is just north of the inlet that we were talking about earlier. And we have almost 71 feet to the extent of the apron flare. We don't technically add another space, but I would say that we provide more room for, I believe, 3 vehicles can park there. Assuming approximate, this is being conservative, but 23 feet for a parallel stall. And we do provide some additional room for those 3 vehicles. Does not add.
We're not adding it really. We're just creating flexibility for an F-150 as opposed to.
Correct. Yeah. It won't be as tight.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other board members have any questions before I open it up to the public?
I do, just for my clarification, are the proposed AC units really 20 feet away from the structure?
Yes. Yeah, we have them adjacent to the garage, along with the generator, kind of tucked between the 2 structures.
And to dovetail on that, James, town ordinance, I know we have particularity in there. Our ordinance has a statement about the AC condensers and the proximity to the houses. Have we looked at that? I like the idea where they're going, I just don't want the applicant to get jammed up by the zoning officer if it goes through.
Well, they're allowed to put them up against the house within so many inches depending on the size of the unit.
I thought like people were putting them remote from their houses and causing problems, no? That's why I'm asking, there's nothing in the ordinance?
I don't know that this would be a problem because it is up against a structure.
Okay,
So I don't think this would be an issue.
I'll
But
look
yeah,
tonight
some
too,
people
just
put
see
them in
there's
the
something in
middle of
there
their yard.
about it.
No, the setbacks.
There's more set, I'll look at that.
You bring up a good point though. What about noise mitigation, right? Because then the ordinance also calls for some sort of sound it's now tight up against the garage, which is gonna reflect the sound outwards. I'm just curious, is there anything in the ordinance that requires
Well,
mitigation?
There's only so much you can do, right?
I know, we
So,
usually have to.
and we all, I mean, Bradley Beach is full, our conforming lots are small, right? But they have to put them somewhere, they are in the rear yard.
Yes, they are.
I think they've done a good job as they can finding a spot for them personally.
Yeah, and I think the proposed location is really as far from either of the neighboring, houses as you
I
can
agree.
get.
A great spot.
It is, it's a good spot, I'm just curious if we have to still requires any more mitigation as far as either greenery or fencing.
Well, the green, that's all when it's in the setback, within the setback.
We
These
don't
are not
allow
within
it,
the setback.
we don't allow it.
Right, but when we do have them, we make them screen and buffer.
As part of the variance.
We usually make them move it.
I mean, if you want them to put some, take up the.
No, I'm just curious, it seems like, I thought if the ordinance doesn't require it, there's no point.
I don't think there's a need.
Okay. No more, no need to add more.
And also, I would like to open it up to the public for questions of Mr. Cullen, the engineer. Is anyone interested? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion for this witness and we can. Thank you.
I'm gonna call Mr. Gorleski.
Thank you.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Your full name and spell your last name, please, sir?
Edward Gorleski, Gorleski.
Thanks. You're the architect, correct?
Yes, I am.
You just give us your license credentials.
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Architecture degree from Drexel University. I'm a New Jersey licensed architect. I've been in the field since about 2006, licensed since 2018. I've been field support several times.
Great. Thanks very much for accepting.
So thank you.
So, Mr. Gillespie, can you just provide an overview of what the program you were given, to Mr. Cohen's, comment in the beginning, if you may?
All right, so as Anthony said, this meeting's been about a year in the making. We met just a little over a year ago. And I mean, since day one, the scope of the project was to tear down the existing two-family home and rebuild a new single-family residence that's gonna be their permanent home.
And so what discussions, did you have with them as far as what you came up with your plan?
Right, I mean, so typically when I first meet with a client, I like to get a feel for how they're gonna use the house, time rental, how big their family is, or it's growing, or empty nesters, whatever the case may be. So basically, this is the program that we came up with, was for a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, 2.5 stories on a basement foundation, approximately 2758 square feet of total living space.
And of that living space, what is the ground floor footprint?
So the first floor footprint is 1,164 square feet, just living space.
That's living space. What's the total building footprint?
So it's 1164 for the living space, and then the front porch is 326 square feet total.
And then in addition to that, on site you have a proposed garage?
Yeah, so there's an existing garage, which we are proposing to remove approximately 9 feet. Yeah, the existing garage is 20 foot 9 inches by 28 foot 5.5 inches. And we're gonna reduce that to the same depth, east to west, 20 foot 9, but take off that 9 feet and make it 19 foot 5.5 inches to keep it too far out.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the numbers. The existing is?
20 foot 9 inches east to west by 28 foot 5.5 inches north south. That's existing.
And you're taking 9 feet away, but you're saying 9 feet. Isn't there another measurement, 9 by something?
Yeah, 9 by the 20 foot 9 inches.
Okay, 9 by 20.9 is the
20
section.
foot 9, so 20.75.
Okay, is the section being removed, and you're gonna end up with leaving what?
20 foot 9 inches, so
Yeah.
east to west by 19 foot 5.5 inches
north-south.
Thank you.
And that 19.5 foot depth, or I should say width, because it's oriented towards beach, correct?
Correct.
That's sufficient to accommodate 2 cars.
Yes.
Do you want any smaller? What would be your opinion?
It gets tighter quicker once you get below 20 feet.
And then the existing garage layout, how does that look from Beach Avenue?
So from beach, it's basically a 3-bay garage, but there's only 2 doors. It looks like at some point somebody filled in the 3rd bay and there's storage behind that right now.
Okay, so the where those 2 doors are existing, that's basically where the 2 doors
Yeah.
are proposed, correct?
Correct.
And then as far as the primary dwelling, you indicated that the porch is 326 square feet. We're asking for a variance, correct? What's the variance total square footage?
It was 141 square feet of the coverage.
Right. And that porch is only on the 1st floor?
Most of it is 1 story, 1st floor. There's a 5 by 10 section of upper porch that's set back 3 foot on the 2nd floor off of the single.
So unlike many of the common homes in Bradley where you have an open porch above the enclosed porch, you're actually setting that upper porch back even further from the setback.
Yes, sir.
And it doesn't go all the way across.
It does not.
So visually, that front porch, for the most part, especially as we get to the corner, is only going to be one story high with the roof and openness.
Yes.
Right. And then as far as the parking layout, how many parking spaces are required under RSIS with a 4-bedroom home?
That's more of a question for Doug. I believe it's 3.
And then as far as we accommodate the borough ordinance parking a minimum of 2, correct?
Right, yes.
And you're actually proposing 4?
Correct.
In your experience, what are you envisioning any future owner of this property is going to use this garage for? So not just parking.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
And as far as the overall calculations for that upper story, did you have an exhibit that you wanted to provide just to show the calculations?
I did. Do you want to give these to me? It's just 1 sheet, 1 drawing, which shows how I calculate the area for the habitable attic. Actually, I have to look here to see what the vision is.
Here is this.
Is this in this set?
This is not in the set.
It's not.
This is additional to the set.
Okay. So this is gonna be A2?
This is marked as A2, and if you could just describe what we're marking, thank you.
Yeah, this is just my calculation for the habitable attic to show that it meets the 50% code of the 2nd floor below.
And so how did you calculate it?
Wait, hold on a second. A2 marked with today's date of July 17, 2025 is a plan with a date of June 30th, 2025, issued for zoning and planning, consists of 1 sheet, and the witness is going to describe what that 1 sheet does. It says habitable attic calculation for the record.
So the gray box with the black outline represents the area of the 2nd floor, which is 1,097 square feet. And then the box in the middle with the crosshatch represents the finished area of the attic with at least 5 foot of headroom.
And to be clear, you didn't count the stairwell area when you did these calculations?
No.
And so what is our total percentage?
So it's 501 square feet, which is 45.7% of the 2nd floor below.
And you said you calculated that at the point where it's 5 feet and above?
So that's where the ordinance calls it, is at 5 feet, but we have knee walls. So the knee walls at the dormer are 5 foot headroom, and then the knee walls on either side are actually 7 foot headroom. So we would go all the way to 5 foot.
And then what's going to be behind those areas on that upper story?
Most of it's going to be ductwork, HVAC,
maybe it's a little bit of storage inside.
Unless there are any objections from Mr. Frida as far as the calculations of the compliance.
No, it was done properly.
It is a nice submission, yes. Do we have to mark this as?
We marked it
We
A1.
did.
It's already marked
Yeah,
A1.
A2.
In terms of habitable attics, this will be insulated to code?
We insulated, drywall, you know.
And will
something.
have heat,
Yeah.
cooling capacity, but
Correct.
it's just intended to be just a habitable attic.
Just a bonus room.
Mr. Corleski, did you do the computation for the UCC?
I did for the 1/3, yeah, and we're
Okay.
below, we're gonna be 5B construction, so we'll be below the
You're below
1/3, yeah.
Is there a requirement of no bedrooms in the attic?
No, because it meets the definition of a half story.
Okay.
So it could be used for a bedroom if it was intended to be.
Okay.
Or in the future, someone could use it as a bedroom.
Would there need to be a additional parking if there's a fifth bedroom?
Our ordinance allows 2 bedrooms plus a bathroom.
Right.
So, this is really underbuilt in a way.
Yes, it is.
The basement, what's the ceiling height there?
That would be close to the basement?
And the homeowner testified he has no intent right now, but in the future he could.
You could, but yeah, he's not planning on it right now.
Okay.
And any change from your permits, you actually have to go back in and get revised permits to change the CO conditions, correct?
You know, the definitive one, yeah.
And so, when you started this project, were you even looking at renovating the existing dwelling?
No, I believe the existing house was built in like 1902 or 1905, so the amount of renovation that would have to be done to a house like that is probably not worth it.
And as far as in your mind, the layout on the site, how does that apply to the variances that we're requesting this evening?
Yeah, I mean, as Anthony said, the existing house is kind of choppy. It looks like it was added on to multiple times. There's zigs and zags and in and out. So I tried to design something a little more streamlined and
And how many bedrooms are in the existing dwelling?
5 bedrooms.
We were actually reducing that as well to 4 bedrooms.
Correct, we're reducing by 1 bedroom.
And I'm gonna ask you the same questions. You've had an opportunity to review, Mr. Frieda and Ms. Bell's letter. Do you have any comments or concerns about the general comments in section 6? And then, going back to the garage, the roof's gonna have to come off?
Yeah.
And then, so, maybe go, if we can go, oh, we have that. What type of pitch of that roof, is that roof going to be on the garage?
It's 612, but I'll send you one sec. I made it so it conforms to a 15-foot height. We're about 6 inches below what the maximum could be for new garage.
So we're not proposing a height variance for that accessory structure?
We're not, no height variance for that, no height variance for the perimeter is inside.
And was there a reason, there's a decision not to rebuild the entire garage as opposed to keeping particularly the rear wall and the side wall?
Considering how old the house is, the garage itself is actually in pretty good shape. So I figured we can, keep as much as we could and just rebuild one wall basically.
And you indicated, I'm sorry.
No,
And you indicated there are 3 bays. Was there an existing, wall, do you think, on the wall that you're proposing to use?
an existing door that they're saying, or?
No, the wall that's on the, what would be, I guess,
Oh,
the south side?
new wall?
Yeah, that new wall. Was there, do you think there was previously a wall there?
I don't think so.
No. I don't think I have any other questions.
Mr. Borleski, what is the main component for the walls of that garage?
They're mostly block. I'd have to verify this, but I think the whole wall up to the roof is block.
Is up the block that they have replaced. And really, as was mentioned before, is this at like 19 and change by 20 is less than 400 square feet for a two-foot garage.
I think it's 404 square foot
Oh.
is what's proposed.
Right, and that's really the minimum standard.
Even that's tight for 2 cars.
Is it?
Yeah.
Great.
I would just say that, just for the record, is that the only consideration to meet that one variance, to eliminate it, would be only to build a 1.5-car garage, reduce the width of the driveway, and reduce the parking. Although, and as you noted, one of the bays would end up being used for bicycles anyways, so you're probably not gonna put 2 cars in there, typically.
So in order to get rid of that variance, we'd have to remove approximately
7
another
feet.
7 square foot.
7 width, 7 foot width, by 20.
Correct.
So that's a trade-off.
Any other questions from the board? If not, I'll open it up to the public. Any public questions from Mr. Gillespie, the architect? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion.
Just one thing, I think you said this already. You are okay with complying with all of the requirements of the report of the board engineer and further review and revision of plans before the construction plans?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
I have no other questions for Mr. Perleski. I'll bring Mr. Leff up.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Do you have a preference on any exhibits?
Oh, no preference whatsoever. You can leave this up.
Brian, you just have to be sworn in.
Yes.
And you have to give me your card too.
I will get you one, the one I had in my
Thank you.
pocket, it was the only blank one I had, don't ask me why.
Okay, thank you. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Spell your full name, please,
Brian Leff, last name Leff.
and your business address.
I'm currently the president of BML Studio in Barnegat, New Jersey.
Thank you.
And Brian, you are a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey?
I am.
And your licenses are all current?
My licenses are all current.
And have you testified before this board before?
I did, but it was during COVID and I got to do it remotely.
So this is the first time we're seeing anyone in person here?
Yes,
Right.
I did.
You've been accepted as a witness in other municipalities?
Yes, I spent a lot of time in Asbury Park, as a matter of fact.
Thank you. So Brian, obviously you were hired by Mr. DeMarco and Mr. DeMarco to provide an overview of planning testimony this evening, correct?
Correct.
And if you could just, if you go through, in your estimation from a planning standpoint, the benefits and the detriments, if any, of this application.
All right. Normally I start with a description of the property, but I think that's been beaten to death tonight. I think everyone knows what we're talking about. So I'm going to jump right in and just get to the meat of my testimony here. And that's really, while the proposed improvements reduce or eliminate a lot of the existing nonconformities on this lot, they are seeking several variances. They include the maximum building coverage, where 35% is permitted, 35.8 exists, and 37.9 is proposed. Rear yard accessory building, where setback, where 5 feet is required, 4 feet is existing and proposed, or 4.1 feet is existing and proposed. You have the side yard accessory building setback at 5 feet required, where 1.2 feet is existing and proposed. A front yard fence height variance, where 3 feet is permitted and 4 feet is being proposed. And the maximum driveway width of 12 feet permitted, where 38.6 feet exists and 18.78 feet is proposed. There are conditions which will be improved on this application. They include the principal building front yard setback going from 17.2 feet, which is required, 12.1 feet exists, and 17.2 feet is proposed, so that eliminates the variance. We have a porch front yard setback along the cave, where 8.8 feet is required, 7.4 feet exists, and 9.2 feet is proposed. Again, that variance is eliminated. Principal building front yard setback on Beach Avenue, 15 feet is required, whereas 12.4 feet exists and 15 feet is proposed. Again, another variance eliminated. Principal building setback side yard of 5 feet is required, where 4.3 feet exists, 5 feet is proposed. Again, variance nonconformance eliminated. The minimum building separation between the house and the garage, 20 feet is required, 5.7 feet exists, and 20.4 feet is proposed. Another nonconformance that will be eliminated.
The impervious coverage, and this is always a big one in just about every application I've ever worked on, 60% permitted, 71.7% exists, and I'm happy to say 59.94 is proposed. So it brings that even into conformance. We have an existing nonconformance for a maximum driveway width in the front yard where 12 feet is permitted, 38.6 feet exists, and 18.7 feet is proposed. Again, that condition is proved, although a variance is still requested. And then you have the maximum driveway width in the rear yard where 24 feet is permitted, 38.2 feet exists, and 19.46 feet is proposed. So that nonconformance is also eliminated. So looking at the variances that we are requesting this evening, I'd like to look at the building cover first, where 35% is permitted, 35.8 square feet percent is existing, and 37.9% is proposed. The increase in cover is largely attributed to the addition of a wraparound covered porch along both frontages. The existing structure has about a 95 square foot covered porch along the cave. The proposed home will contain a 325 or 326 square foot porch. It's a significantly larger area, and all that goes towards your building coverage. The actual living space on this is only increased by 57 square feet, and a detached garage is being significantly reduced by 187 square feet. The proposed building will comply with all setback requirements, which eliminates several of the existing nonconformities. As the porches are open-air structures, the additional building cover that's associated with this application will not appear bulky, crowded, or out of place. It will serve to enhance the aesthetics from all public vantage points. It allows the owners to enjoy the porch area in a wider variety of weather conditions while it's covered. If the porch area is not covered, the proposed condition would otherwise comply with the building cover regulations, but I believe a front yard setback variance may be required. The second variance that's being strictly proposed with this application is the fence height within a front yard, where 3 feet is permitted and 4 feet is proposed. This applies to the Beach Avenue frontage only. There are no fences in the front yard along the cave. The proposed fence is an open picket style. It's not a picket fence, but it is picket style with a top rail. So it's not a solid fence, and it's not opaque. It's not going to completely block any views. As was previously testified, the primary reason for the fence is to secure the dog. No one wants their dog running around in the neighborhood, jumping over the fence, especially right near the beach where you're going to have people walking back and forth fairly constantly. The property does contain a significant elevation change between the public sidewalk and the home. This is an existing condition, and it's going to remain. The private patio area that's being proposed and the stepping stone walkway between the patio and the front porch is approximately 3 feet higher than the sidewalk elevation, where the fence is located approximately 1 foot higher than the sidewalk. So you're looking at about a 2 foot difference in elevation from where the fence is to where that back patio is, and even the stepping stone walkway. The additional height will help secure their dog and screen the views into the property from motorists, while people walking down the street will have a clear view, or an average adult will have a clear view over a 4 foot fence. Someone who's driving down the road, because of the view angle, it would provide some screening. The fence is not located within the intersection sight triangle where it would interfere with sight lines. In fact, where it's being located does not interfere with any sight line whatsoever. Even the adjacent home along Beach Ave has their front porch almost immediately against the property line. So you're not even blocking someone else's front yard with a fence. So given the unique site topography and the fact that it's a corner lot containing 2 front yards, where this would otherwise be a side yard fence, the 4 foot fence will appear in scale with the property and provide more utility for the owners. Next, we'll start moving to some of the other variances that, some of them being improved, some of them are staying the same. The side and rear yard accessory structure setbacks, since these both pertain to the garage, I'm going to address them both together. The proofs are the same. There's a 5 foot side and rear yard setback that's required for accessory structures, whereas the detached garage is located 4.1 feet from the, let's say, rear property line and 1.2 feet from the side property line. These are existing conditions that will remain. The conditioning along the eastern property line, or the side lot line, does get somewhat improved because you're reducing the length of the wall, so the impact of having that garage close to your property line is reduced. A portion of the structure will remain, will be renovated with an enhanced appearance. So what is a block garage now will have siding, everything's going to be renovated, it's going to look new, it's going to be a huge boost to the aesthetics on this property. And this condition for these two variances does not result in any new impacts. That's the important part. Next, we have the maximum driveway width in the front yard, where 12 feet is permitted, 38.6 feet exists, and 18.78 feet is proposed. While it's still a varying condition, the proposed construction will significantly reduce the driveway width and represent an improvement over the existing conditions. The plan will provide for 2 vehicles to be parked in the driveway, which reduces the on-street parking demand and increases parking within the right-of-way for the public. So just to wrap things up, I think that addresses the variances that are being sought. The applicant would like to make this property their primary full-time residence. As the existing structure is outdated and in need of some repairs, they're proposing to demolish the existing structure and construct a new 2.5-story home. They're proposing to reduce the size of the existing detached garage and the associated driveway, which also brings down the impervious coverage. And while the proposed improvements require some relief from the Bradley Beach zoning ordinance, several non-conforming conditions will be corrected as part of this application, or minimized. The proposed improvements will not result in any new or negative impacts to the community. In my professional opinion, the relief being sought may be granted without substantial impairment to the zoning ordinance or the overall zone plan, and the proposed improvements will not result in any negative impacts to the health, safety, or general welfare of the public or the surrounding community. That's my direct. I think that addresses the variances. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So Brian, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. So if we proposed a 12-foot wide driveway in that entire front yard area, that's approximately a 15-foot depth area, that front yard area?
Yes, yes.
Right. So if we had 15 feet, we have a 50-foot area of driveway that we could utilize from the lot line on Beach to the side lot line, correct? It's only 50 feet?
That sounds right, yes.
So in 50 feet, in general, if you only had a 12-foot driveway, how many cars could you park in that driveway? If it was just a driveway?
With a 12-foot, you'd only fit one car in the driveway.
If you extended that 12-foot, or if you extended
If
it...
you extended 50 feet, then you could fit 2 cars
fit
front
2
to back,
cars.
yes.
Now, if you widened it at the 12-foot mark, how much parking can you provide on site by widening it at that point in conforming with the ordinance?
Well, you would provide two parking spaces in the garage, met side by side at that point, and then you would still have the other 2 in the garage. So you would have a total of 4, if I'm understanding the question correctly.
So we're proposing an 18-foot wide curb cut.
Right, and the standard parking space is 9 feet. So 18 feet goes right in line with a standard parking width for a vehicle. 2 vehicles would require 18 feet. Not that that can't be shaved down a little bit, but for practical purposes and opening doors and things like that, that's typically the standard.
But if 15 feet of that area were reduced to only a 12-foot wide width, you can only park 1 car in really only a portion of that, correct?
Correct.
So what we're proposing to create 4 off-street parking spaces,
Correct.
is that, what's your opinion as far as a zoning alternative?
I think this is, the other thing you have to consider on this is the topography, where the garage is roughly 3.5 feet high. So you have a steep garage. So when you're talking about coming back with a narrow driveway, or even trying to move the garage forward to try and correct the setback variance, the topography also comes into play, and you would end up with a driveway that would be just way too steep. You'd bottom out every time you try to get into it. So I think, in my professional opinion, the way it's laid out minimizes the driveway to the greatest extent possible and still allows for 2 vehicles to be parked side by side
within the driveway.
within the driveway.
And then the 2 additional vehicles.
And then 2 additional vehicles in the garage for a total of 4.
And so, Mr. Frieda indicated that, let's say you take the garage width and you reduce it so that now you create a conforming building coverage.
Then you would not fit 2 cars in that garage. You would only fit 1, and I think it was pointed out that the driveway is not allowed to be wider than the garage, so you would also only fit 1 car in the driveway.
The other way to reduce the building coverage would be to reduce the size of the front porch.
Right, which I think is a great amenity and a bonus, actually an asset to the community in the way that, especially on a corner lot, where from the intersection, you're looking at the wraparound covered porch. I think that's a great improvement to the aesthetics on the site. But yes, you could eliminate the wraparound porch and also comply.
I don't have any other questions.
Any questions from the board?
I guess the third way would be if you actually reduce the size of the house by 140 square of area.
That's also a possibility.
Could you scale back the wraparound porch so it doesn't protrude so far out?
For utility purposes, it looks like maybe along McCabe, you could reduce it a little bit, but being that's the primary frontage and the way it's designed matches the depth of the other porches along that viewscape, it may be possible. I would defer to the architect how that plays with the roof lines and things like that. But I don't think it would be nearly as nice looking.
If I could comment too, to make up the 141 square feet, you would have to reduce the size of the garage and the porch and still not get there. You're still gonna need that variance.
To reduce the front porch, you consider that you only have an 8-foot wide, proposing 8-foot deep porch. And 8 feet versus 10 feet, which a lot of the older homes have, that 8 feet is minimum in some regards.
Yeah, I would agree.
And anything less than that does not look right. So I think that's just not a way to go. But going back to the driveway though, you could reduce the size of the opening. And you could reconfigure the driveway slightly and you could regrade the driveway up. So I ran into the same problem.
Okay, that's a question for the engineer.
I'm on firm also.
Yeah, that's a question for the engineer.
But remember, they're not over on impervious.
I know, frankly, it's.
Right, and I think it's important to note, while they are slightly over on building coverage, their overall impervious coverage is under, so.
And the overall balance of the trade-offs of what we're getting in return, in my opinion, far outweighs some of these.
There.
You know, we're getting from 2 families to 1 family, improved home structure, even the 4-foot fence, while I'm not a big fan of it, it's, with the topography change, I don't think it's gonna be as impactful as it may be.
Right, I think given the topography changes of the site, the look of the 4-foot fence will be minimal. And I also think, because they are a corner lot, they have 2 front yards. So
Correct.
that's really acting as their side yard.
Correct.
If they were, in the middle of a block, it wouldn't be an issue at all.
Correct. Corner lots, as we all know, have that.
I also want to mention to the board that the fence that would run parallel to Beach Avenue, it's going to be like 4 feet away from the edge of the sidewalk. This fence is not going to be up against the sidewalk. This is pretty wide right away here on Beach Avenue.
Right.
So to be on their property, it's going to be probably a good 3 feet or so from the back of that side.
So you're saying it's minimal impact, visually.
And the only advantage would be if you did narrow the driveway, is if you could get an additional parking spot to, along Beach, which I don't believe that you're gonna be able to do that. And the only other concern is you're walking along there and the fence is there, and the person sitting in the car backing up, now you have you have 2 cars next to each other backing out, and you have a lot of pedestrians. Is that fence blocking the view of somebody backing out of that driveway when you got people walking through there? And it's such a wide driveway with 2 cars backing up.
No, because it's an open style fence, it'll have views, even the
But
fence itself
Sitting
will,
in a car in the driver's seat with another car next to
You-
you, next to each other, backing out with a car.
well, only one's gonna back out at a time, but, so I understand your point though.
One to the left, say, somebody's walking. Is that fence
The
in the way?
fence, for the one car that would be parked further away from the fence backing out, the other vehicle's gonna block it more than the fence will. For the vehicle that's parked next to the fence, as they back out, I believe there's enough openness in that fence that you would see first of all, you'll see pedestrians over top.
Well, the one car will be blocking the view, the fence won't come into play.
Right.
So then it's backing out from backing out, can you actually have a sight line of somebody walking,
Yes.
a kid walking along that fence?
If it's a small child, maybe not, but I think that's gonna be whether it's a 3-foot fence or a 4-foot fence.
That would be my only other thought on this, but, yeah.
I don't, let me,
Because it's not one car backing out.
let me say it by
Yeah.
saying, I don't think a 4-foot fence is gonna have any more impact, or significantly more impact on the site visibility backing out of the driveway than a 4-foot fence.
This is also a single-family home, so theoretically, any cars parked in the driveway, they would hopefully know each other and be communicating. You could help people,
Yeah, and I just know, if it's more of a road with 18 feet wide versus a driveway 12 feet, it's easier to manage at 12 foot when you're walking
I don't know, I
pedestrians.
think that's like semantics.
It is semantics, but I'm just saying, there's not really a benefit.
I mean, I basically share driveway, like the driveways are connected, it's one surface, my neighbor's and I, it's two single car garages, and so we're always next to each other, pulling in and out. It's one driveway cut. It's just what it is.
So look, he testified that the 4-foot fence gives more utility for the owners.
Yes.
Would a 3-foot fence give them the same utility?
No, because their dog can jump over that 3-foot fence.
Okay. And, so we're not worried about the land, we're worried about the dog.
Well, the dog is one of the concerns that was mentioned.
Okay, and then where's the benefit to the public? You testified to the benefit to the owner, but I'm not hearing any benefit.
There's no detriment to the public.
There's no detrimental, I mean,
The statute requires, is there a substantial detriment to the public, not a benefit to the public? There's a substantial detriment to the public. His testimony is there's no detriment.
there's no that's his testimony.
That's his testimony.
And even the visual aesthetic, you don't feel that, you know?
Now, given the, actually, personally, I think, and professionally, I think the 4-foot fence is gonna look more in scale with this house because it's up on that hill. I think a 3-foot fence is gonna look dwarfed and out of place.
Any other questions from the board? I'd like to open it up to the public, if there's any questions from the public of Mr. Leff, the planner. Seeing none, I will close the public portion.
I just have a brief summary as testified by all of the witnesses that you've heard this evening. We have a corner lot which affects the site situations of the property. You have existing conditions that are significantly being mitigated with what we're proposing. I don't believe that the variances that are being requested, particularly when you're talking about the building coverage variance, when we're dealing with an oversized porch, that is pretty common in your community. When we're talking about a 2-car garage, which is at its minimum size, which is common in your community. We have a garage situated on a corner lot, so you're either gonna do one of two things. You're gonna try to bring that driveway up off of McCabe, which is not gonna look good because you're gonna have a driveway at the corner of a property, or you're gonna keep it where it's already situated today, and we're proposing a garage that's actually smaller than what's there today. We're proposing a driveway curb cut, we're proposing a driveway which is smaller than what's there today. So the people who live in this neighborhood, the people who come to this neighborhood, are already used to what's existing there today. These variances that we're asking, I don't think that, particularly with the driveway variances, I don't think they're substantial. They're certainly not a substantial detriment. They are a benefit to the community because they're smaller than what's existing today. I would indicate that the testimony as far as the fence is concerned, being the topography, the location of the fence as proposed, I think there was an assumption maybe from some board members that this fence was gonna go wrap around the entire property, but as it's proposed, it sits at almost 30 feet back from the property line, and even further than that from the curb line and sidewalk line. So the location of this 4-foot fence is in an area of the property dealing with the topography that I think fits in with this, and it's a better zoning alternative than compliance only because of how everything sits on the lot. We're bringing the setbacks all into conformity. Other than the existing garage, there are no setbacks here. We're bringing your impervious coverage down to a conforming condition. Many of the lots in this borough have non-conforming conditions, and you don't have a lot of applications coming before you where a applicant is asking for relief on certain variances, and it doesn't include a impervious coverage variance. So I think that the building coverage variance is in general de minimis the way we're opening up the lot. I think that the fence variance is de minimis, and there's been sufficient justification and testimony that it's not a substantial detriment with what's proposed. And I think the other two variances related to the driveway also are not substantial detriments. And they all conform to your zoning ordinance, where we're taking a 2-family home, which is situated in a much broader area of this property, and condensing it to create more open space on the lot and view sheds for neighbors. Thank you.
Mr. Beekman, your comment about the 30 feet, you were referring to McCabe and not Beach Avenue in terms of.
No, the testimony from Mr. Cleland indicated that he believed that the fence location was set back about 30 feet.
On McCabe.
From McCabe, it's on Beach.
Yes.
But it's set from the corner of McCabe to Beach, about 30 feet back.
You're not referring to the Beach Avenue setback, which is much closer.
Correct. But I'm talking about from the corner where it's set back. So it's not going along the entire frontage of Beach, and it's also not going along the entire frontage of McCabe, because it's testified that fence stops about halfway through the house on that side lot line, which is conforming on that side. Pretty much from the line that Doug draws on the site, it's about halfway through the site where it says it's 18.78 feet of driveway width. From that point backward, the fence is fully conforming. So the section towards the beach lot line and down to where where it turns back into the building, to get into the building, that's where it's non-conforming. It's not the entire frontage of Beach.
Do you have any comments from the board or additional questions?
So just for one last clarity point, when I'm looking at this driveway with the fence, the fence is going to go right up to the driveway and right at the corner of the property line and the driveway at the sidewalk. It's going to be at that corner and turn.
Correct.
Is there any way we can just set that off a little bit so that the driver could actually have a little bit of a view angle?
We probably could chamfer that.
Just
Chamfer,
that
we could
corner
chamfer
a
the
little
corner a
bit, just to
little bit.
give some view shed. Because
That's not a bad
I'm
idea.
just seeing that gray and that fence sitting there, just not seeing somebody walk.
That's not a bad idea.
I just think a slight adjustment there, if you could find a way to do that.
This is your driveway. Right here. Here comes the fence. Instead of from the street. Back here. Go through back and up. It's not walking out here.
Yeah,
Was that right at the sidewalk here?
Yeah, I mean, I would guess it would be about a 6-foot area where we could angle it, sure.
I just think that would
That's a
help
good
the
idea.
driver.
That's a good
That's a good
idea.
idea.
Can I get it repeated?
Yeah, so.
Please.
Like you do it? Okay,
Yes.
so, let me just think. So the 4-foot fence on the west side of the property, as it approaches the driveway, will be put on, the corner will be on a 45-degree turn to the driveway, and then turn up the driveway.
You want to assign a number to that?
It's
I know.
6 feet.
2 feet.
1
feet.
6 feet.
One length of fence or
One
something?
length of fence, which is probably at least 6 feet.
Okay, yeah, that's at least putting the record on.
And what is this accomplishing?
It increases the sight view of the driveway backing out of the driveway. I think it's a good idea.
So, Mr. Beebe, your client's not interested in
can go into a 3-foot fence. Now, if that's going to be a problem with the board, we would ask for a bifurcated, offer, and make the fence a completely separate issue. Because we don't wanna get shot down for an entire application for a fence if there's a concern with the fence.
And, I would prefer that, I'd just like to poll the rest of the board and see if they would, be interested in Mr. Gaiman bifurcating that section of the, application.
Under what authority of the MLUL are you asking for a bifurcated application? At this point, at the end of the hearing, everyone's been sworn and gone, and presumably you've addressed it.
So each application stands on its own merit.
Yeah.
Each variance stands on its own merit.
Yeah.
And we can ask the board to bifurcate the request for variances as part of the application process.
So I've generally always said, the board, you gotta take it as a whole or not. If the board wants to consider the fence separately, and maybe we just take a poll right now on who's for the 3-foot fence versus the 4-foot fence.
Well, I don't wanna make it who's in favor of that, I'd like to make it, can we bifurcate it so then we can let everyone know what our opinions are.
Okay.
I mean, it's a very unusual application, because there are a lot of positive benefits.
Yeah.
But, we've got,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
Okay, so you're consenting to this procedure for
I
your
am.
applicant? Okay.
We don't want what potentially might be one issue to ruin an entire application, because we think it's a good application. We think it's a good application for your neighborhood. We think it's a good application for your community.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman. So, there are no other comments from the board. Do I have a motion on approving the variances for, the 4 variances with the exception of the fence?
Okay, motion to approve the application except for the fence.
Except for the fence, yeah.
And then you're gonna take a separate vote
We'll
on
do a
that.
separate vote.
Okay, so the motion should be approve the application as testified to and stated, including the variance, except for the fence. We're doing that separately.
That being said, do I have a motion?
We have to include one thing, change the plans as far as the drainage, not tying into the sewer, to the storm drain, so.
Well, there's other conditions that they've agreed to, so
Right.
I can list them if you want.
And that commission, that's been agreed to.
Right, and throughout the hearing, we have that,
As long as I get to
and
it.
Jerry and I have been marking the conditions. All the conditions that have been agreed to and requested by the board are going to be in the, resolution. We don't need to, add them here. Everyth's gonna
Just want to
be.
make sure it's good.
So the motion that's present is to approve the application as testified to.
That's where we were at, minus the
And
fence.
minus the fence. And we need we have a motion, we need a second.
Second.
Well, actually, I requested a motion from the board. I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you needed, we need the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the application with the 4 variances, with the exception of the fence.
I'll second.
Ms. Mahoney?
Yes.
Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbow?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Mornet?
Yes.
Ms. Leahy?
Yes.
Councilman Nowicki?
Although I would like to see this entire, site be completely conforming, the benefit, as noted, of providing additional parking with the driveway, there's an overall benefit for that strategy, so I will vote yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
I also will vote yes, and I believe that this application has offered so much more improvement to what was there now. I'm a little disappointed that this is bifurcated, but it is what it is.
Chair Cohen?
I would vote yes. I'm very impressed with the submission of the application, specifically the reduced setback violation between the structures. The reduced impervious coverage is substantial. And the new sidewalks is very much a benefit to that neighborhood. For those reasons, I thought it was a very good presentation for a conforming lot that had to deal with historic structures on it. So I voted yes. I'd like to see if there's a motion from the board for the fence variance. The request is a 4-foot fence where a 3-foot fence is allowed under the ordinance. Do I have a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve 4-foot application.
Second.
So the motion is to approve the 4-foot?
Yes.
Yes.
With the
Motion
conditions.
to approve the variance for 4-foot fence as depicted in the ordinance.
With the conditions, added condition of.
With conditions and changes.
I'm sorry, so, Mr. Mayor was
Yes.
made the motion, who was my second? Ms. Mahoney?
No.
Ms. Saracine?
It's my first faculty meeting. But I go yes, yes, but.
Mr. Wishfeld?
No.
Mr. Meaner?
I'm going yes.
Mr. Warnett?
Yes.
Ms. Leahy?
I'm gonna say no.
Councilman Nulicki?
Being that we've approved other 4-foot fences on corner lots, I will go yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And Chair Cohen?
I would vote no. I don't believe it meets the principles of zoning, the purposes of zoning 40.55D-2 to promote a desirable visual environment and good civic design and arrangement, which is established in the ordinance itself. I believe that the only benefit here is to the applicant. And I'm not impressed with the proofs that were submitted in that regard, and for that reason I vote.
The motion to approve carries.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And I'm gonna bother that here. Yeah, well, it's fine, because I know how to transfer. Yes, it's easy.
Yeah, we'd like to move on to our next agenda item, is the workshop. I'd like to move on to the workshop for affordable housing. And again, the intent here is that we just started template together as a board to give Ms. Bell good direction on how we proceed with the affordable housing overlay.
So right now, the plan is being reviewed by the courts. You know, we were granted immunity, but we have until, any objectors or interested parties have until the end of August to comment, on the plan. So really, we can't move forward on anything
they're gonna need direction from us before January as to, how that overlay is gonna be covered, on Main Street, between OP, the DOR zone.
Right, but right now we can't, until we're assuming there might be some type of feedback from, the courts before the end of August, but right now, we're kind of just in a holding pattern.
So we should just sit then until
Until the end of August, yeah, until September.
Until the September meeting?
Yes, I would recommend in September, we can give you an update on what the status is, if there had been any comments, any interested parties in Bradley Beach's housing plan, and, at that time, we're hoping to have received direction from the courts as to, the next steps.
Okay, yeah, that's great. We just wanna make sure we keep it out there in the public and, out here for the board members to, have an idea of where we are, so we get to the finish line on March 31st, when the council has to, 2026, when the council has to have.
So, those dates are all, nothing is definite yet, right? We have done what we need to do in the required timelines to this point, but going forward, I can't tell you a definite timeline of anything. We're assuming that all ordinances will need to be adopted within the first quarter of 2026, but, we won't know until the end of August what needs to be done.
If you hear from them.
Right, exactly.
Because don't forget, every municipality is, or most municipalities are in the same situation. And I wouldn't be surprised if the courts started wanting to stagger things.
Right.
This region here, this region there, go in December. This one goes in November. But more likely, they're gonna push out those ordinances. That's more likely, especially if they get swamped with objectors and other things like that.
Right, so you can certainly brainstorm about what you would like to see, but I would not recommend, having me spend time draft an ordinance or having my office spend time until we're given direction from the system.
And the funds to pay you to do so?
Yes.
Great.
Well, the council is gonna have to pay for the ordinance anyway.
Yeah.
Right, but you don't want me to do something multiple times.
No, and I just be freely, I'd like to see us as a group agree on a template that can be used for that ordinance. That's really where I'm going. Is that so we're giving direction to the council, as we see it every day here in this room, every month in this room as to what's happening, and we understand the different properties. So I think it's for us to just create a template as to what we'd like to see in the ordinance is where I'm going. I don't know if anyone else has an opinion on that.
Well, I think we definitely want to have time to be able to address this, and so the exercise of this body to actually start to identify what are those issues, on that specific overlay on Main Street is probably something that's going to take some work and effort of understanding for everybody to really come to that. So, we should probably have a schedule based on what we think is going to happen, but, back off of that, how much time do we need, and when do we as a group need to start being active and working on this? And what we don't want to be is a bunch of special meetings, because all of a sudden we get a bunch of applications coming in, and now we got to start adding more meetings. I'd rather, do it in a 3-hour meeting here versus in one time a month, and come in here multiple times a month to try to deal with this.
No, certainly. I think that by September, right, we will have direction.
Okay.
We will have an idea of what a timeline will be. But until then, we kind of get to take a breath for the summer.
I just think that affordable housing is a subject that we shouldn't play around with. In other words, if we shouldn't be doing something in August, I think we should wait until September. And yes, I agree with the councilman and with the chair, and that we do have to have a schedule. So I would suggest that in the September meeting, we be prepared to try to set the schedule. And don't forget, the ordinances should not be carried over from December to January. So if we're supposed to do it by March, that means January and February votes. But don't forget, it goes to the council, comes back to us, then goes back to the council, and that's pretty much 2 meetings that has to account. 3, our meeting and 2 council meetings, which is January, February. So yes, time is of an essence, but I also don't want to have a audience and things being said that we will have to perhaps take back later. So don't forget, most of this is going to be deliberation that you have to do in public. We're not going to be having that in closed session. We're going to be doing these discussions with the public, hopefully interested public here, and participating to a certain extent. But also there are people against affordable housing and people against what you say about affordable housing or what you say about affordable housing.
We have to come together as a group and get this done for Bradley Beach, and that's the intent. So I would, like to propose that we put it on a workshop agenda for September.
Yeah.
And Christine, if we could have some kind of overlay map prepared that would show us
Absolutely.
What we're talking about in terms of the BOR, the GBW, then I think if we have time at that meeting, we can set the schedule and maybe we can, spend some time on going over, the concerns each one of us may have with regard to that overlay.
Is there going to be you're not doing a sort of a working subcommittee or anything, right? You're going to
No,
do everything
we
all
haven't
together?
set that up, but, it may evolve into that for October, November, if need be, based upon where we are. But,
So you can actually do that, you can have a subcommittee working on this,
Most
not
likely.
in the public?
Well, I didn't say that.
That's what subcommittee, that's what I'm wondering.
So,
what you're suggesting.
so sometimes there's a subcommittee that maybe has a construction official and 2 board member. I mean, you can do things like that. In the context of the affordable housing ordinances, I don't think it's any different than anything else that we do. And we have authority under the MLUL to do subcommittees. Whether or not it's advisable is a different thing, and whether or not it's overlaying something that we don't, just makes it more complicated. 3 people knowing what's going on and then come in and explain it to the other 9 people, and maybe you're just more productive by doing it here.
Well, we do have a good interaction over here. Everyone gets to, bring something, and there's more history with some members, and so I think that, and I prefer to do it here, but if we need to expedite it and create a committee, then.
Yeah, I mean, it depends upon how much the changes are going to be talked about with respect to the ordinances, which some of them are written already, right? They were in the housing plan. You can start looking at them now and seeing what they do there.
I think it's a good opportunity for us to educate ourselves, to be prepared to start to do some of the stuff, just from a knowledge of the master plan, et cetera.
I think Ron would probably say, don't do anything until we tell you. That Ron Cucchiara, who consults
The affordable housing attorney.
Right. And Jen, who's the affordable housing planner, will say, don't do anything till we tell you to.
Right. We don't want to go down a road that we can't
But,
track.
obviously, this is the land use board, so he's got to walk over me and Christine first.
Yeah, and we just want to complete our charge for the council. We don't want to leave them in the lurch, later on in 2026.
Right, yeah, I mean, I would not advise, so every municipality in the state of New Jersey had till the end of June to adopt their plan and submit it to the system. I think they're calling it something funny. But then Fair Share, it's weird. Then Fair Share has basically the months of July and August to review, and any other interested parties, review the housing plans for those 365 municipalities and provide, any comments, any objections to them. So I would not recommend right now you have immunity, you know, the plan's been adopted. I would not recommend doing anything else until that time has passed.
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement, we'll put it on workshop for the
Yeah.
September meeting, and if you could prepare a map, and then we can start to talk about that, how the overlay will operate, and, you know, we'll bring specifications to that, and I think we're in good shape. That being said, if anyone has anything else, old business, I would make a motion to close.
Wait.
Oh,
Oh, can we hear what's on for August? Do we have anything for August yet?
Maybe.
Okay.
I have one application that's, finally, the one that I had sent, I haven't gotten any feedback yet. I just need to know if it's substantially different
Oh,
from what was
I have that
denied.
under consideration, let's not talk about that
Okay,
one, okay?
because it may be a race judicata.
Right.
So we don't,
Yeah,
that's
there's a few things
in the
going on with
wings.
that.
There was another application they were originally scheduled for June. I had notified them that they were gonna be, moved to July. But it turns out that they had more time to review the engineering review, and they're working with their architect to revise the plans. So right now, I sent them a scheduling letter, they're tentatively scheduled for August, but if they're not ready, they're not gonna proceed, so I may not have anything in August. So, you know, unless all the restaurants decide they're gonna come rolling in like I said they would.
yeah, we're waiting for them today.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know.
On the record again,
Yep.
I told you.
You did.
Cause it's gonna be our fault.
Yeah, I would make thank you, Christie. I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Say aye.
See you August 21st unless you hear differently from me. Right.
I'm going away, I just want to say.
Alright, I gotta talk to you too. Good morning.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Presented. Good night, everybody.